What's up, guys? Welcome back to Channel Maverick here with episode 3 of Appare-Ranman. So, this is going to be the last episode before we go on hiatus because, as mentioned last episode, due to COVID-19, a lot of anime in Japan is being delayed this season, and Appare-Ranman is one of them. They still haven't announced when they are going to restart, so I guess we can all just stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's enjoy it while we can. In the last episode, we were introduced to one of the main characters, Xiaolian, and also Appare sort of demonstrated his abilities to make racing cars, right? Or at least fix racing cars. And now, at the end of the last episode, it seems we're going to be introduced to two more characters. One is Dylan, this sort of cowboy gunslinger dude, I guess you could say. He's kind of the star of the show as well, at least in this current situation. He's already an established racer and whatnot. And then, of course, we have the little Indian boy who we don't really know the name of yet, but I presume we'll learn that in this episode. And judging from the opening, or actually, I think the very first episode, we do know that he's eventually going to end up as a sort of teammate to Appare and Kosame, right? So let's jump right into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, Shaolin's doing the recap. Oh, we're starting with the opening. See, this is the type of situation where I don't know whether I should cut out the opening, right? I try to cut it out if it starts directly with the opening song, just to save some time. And in this case, where we do have a little sort of recap by Xiaolian, kind of hard to say. Look at that segue. Tomahawk, rapier. We got some gun duels as well. We got someone wielding a katana. We got some gun kata. Oh man, I can't wait until that scene. I really love gun kata. If you guys haven't watched Appare-Ranman before, which is a movie, not an anime, go watch that. So fun. Alright. Thousand free? 3,000? Okay. Right, and now we're gonna be introduced to him. Hototo. At the turn of the century, well, I guess this is a kind of a touchy subject for Americans, I guess. I mean, as far as I know, in terms of American history, the last real conflict, armed conflict between Native Americans and like the U.S. Army or whatnot, 1870s, maybe 1870s, 1880s. Northeast. Iroquois. Oh, and this is another one of the main characters. So what country is this dude from? I mean, B and German? Dutch? I mean, I assume BMW was sort of like a play on BMW, so that's why I'm saying German. They don't seem German though. Oh wow. Well, Leon. France? French? By the way, I think those three are Ford, General Motors, and is he gonna say, "Be my mechanic"? He's like, deal. Yeah, you would think that they would, it's the segue. Yeah, he's definitely kind of, taking the scrap. Alright. You know, the normal sort of development would be for Xialin to actually join up with them, right? Right. But instead, as we see at the very beginning of the series, Looks.
弱い者ほど人を見下す。じいちゃんの言う通りだ。
見下してるわけじゃない。お前がどう思おうと、子供は子供だ。こら、危ないだろ。
楽しそうだね。
リオンさん。
あるでいいよ。彼は君の子？
違います。彼はホトと。わけあって今は一緒に。
はじめまして、ホトトさん。お元気？
はい。彼女はソフィア。私の
お目付け役です。あるが無茶をして。
Chaperone.
てっきり姉上かと。
私の母が住み込みであるのベビーシッターをしてたから。
ソフィア、行こう。鳴らしついでにロスの街を。
コースを探しに行く。ホトと付き合ってくれ。
あ、これは何？
ゼンマイアシスト付き二輪車だ。
ちょっと乗らせてくれ。
断る。
ケチケチするな、そんなもん。乗るくらいいいだろう。
彼の言う通り。
じゃあ今度のレースに勝ったらこれをお前にやる。
本当か？やった！
その代わり俺が勝ったらその車をもらう。
ずうずうしいな。あ、そうだ。刀をやめて。
100% 私が勝つんだ。
100%.
約束だ。忘れるな。
来ないね。
ああ、きっと逃げたんだよ。勝てるはずないんだから。
And here he comes.
あれ？
もっとスピードを出せ。遅刻だ。
剣の世界では遅刻した方が勝つんだ。
ホトトの方が早い。変われ。
断る。昨日の試運転忘れたのか。俺はまだ死にたくない。
小雨は大げさだ。ベルトもつけた。
待たせたな。
やれたことを責めるよりも、そんなマシンでよくここまでたどり着いたと褒めるべきなんだろうね。それは私がもらう。それと君の刀も。
腹はくくった。
武士に二言はない。
お前が言うな。
勝負がつくまで私が預かろうか。
Oh,
アーレン、来たのか。
ああ、本当に作ったんだな。
そうだ。そして勝つ。
正直驚いた。けどこんな車で勝負になる。
it's not aerodynamic at all.
やっぱり不可能だったんだ。
その通り。君たちは所詮飛べない鳥だ。さあ始めよう。時間の無駄だからね。
あっぱれ。やっぱりお前が運転しろ。
ああ、最初からそのつもりだ。
Yeah, it's probably gonna be super.
3キロ
Probably gonna be super fast.
回って戻り、先にまたこの木に触れた方の勝ち。道はない。この荒野が全てサーキットだ。
望むところだ。準備はいい？
ああ。
レディーゴー。
Why do they need two people? Oh yeah, one to drive and one to add power. Alright.
早い。これが BMW。
急げ。あっぱれ。
喋ってると舌を噛むぜ、小雨。
あ。
行くぜ。キュイキャ
あっぱれはハンドルを握ると人が変わるタイプだ。
No, but seriously, his tires should be like completely wrecked.
やっぱりスピードでは勝てない。それはあっぱれも分かってる。それでもあいつは勝つつもりだ。
あっぱれ。崖だ。迂回しろ。
捕まってろ。小雨。
Jump it!
飛べない鳥かどうか。その目で確かめろ。
Yeah, that's not. Right. This is some pretty wacky physics. drifting as well. All right.
合図をしたら足元の赤いレバーを思いっきり引け。赤いレバーこれか。
俺たちは負けない。あっぱれ号は二度飛ぶ。
The Appare.
ゴールまで460、40、20。
今だ引け。
Woohoo! It's gonna overheat. Yeah, it's using steam to power itself. It's gotta touch it.
私は負けない。
やっぱり外れたか。
やっぱり確信犯か。
あっぱれはさすがだ。
ゴールしたのは俺だ。
あっぱれ。君はめちゃくちゃだね。こんなやり方でゴールするなんてありえない。けど、今回は君の勝ちだ。君は勝つために作戦を考え、コースを選び、車を作った。車の性能にあぐらをかいて何もしなかった私の負けだ。
いいのか。大陸横断レースは。
それは予備のセカンドカーだ。レースにはも本番用のマシンはもっと速い。
よっしゃー、車ゲット。
ソフィア、ごめん。歩いて帰ろう。
あれ俺も本番はもっといい車を作る。勝負だ。今度こそ俺はお前の前を走る。
ああ、こっちこそ先にゴールしてみせる。
これに乗って帰れ。お前にやる。
いや、私は負けた。そういうわけにはいかない。歩いて帰ろう。
じゃあ私がもらいます。じゃあな。
一緒に車で帰らないのか。
ああ。
She's like, I want to pursue my dream as well. How are you gonna get a car though?
修理に少しかかりそうだな。
あっぱれ、本番のレースにはもらった車で出るんだよな。
Of course not. Why would you enter in a car that's already proven to be inferior, right? Alright, see you guys after this. Alrighty, so that was episode 3, and before we start the discussion part, I just want to quickly mention that at the very end, whilst the ending was playing, we actually got some more dialogue from some, I guess, more nefarious characters, right? So there's these, we couldn't really see their faces and whatnot, but apparently they are going to be on the antagonist side, and apparently they are from what I can surmise, the locomotive industry, right? Probably like the railways and whatnot. So they're kind of not taking too kindly to the fact that automobiles are taking up all the glory right now, right? And threatening a shift to the transportation standards of the US of A. So they are apparently sending their men to sort of sabotage the tournament, I guess you could say, or perhaps try to participate and still win the whole thing anyways. I'm sure we'll see more of that in the upcoming episodes. And so, getting to this actual episode, we are formally introduced to two new characters. One is Hototo, and one is El Dion. So let's go with Hototo first. So obviously, he's a Native American, or as they are called in that time period, Indians. Native American is more of a recent year, politically correct term, if you will. And well, even though this is definitely not going for historical accuracy here, I still thought it would be kind of fun to try and surmise like what tribe he actually belongs to. I initially thought the Iroquois. However, now that I think about it more, I think the Sioux might be a better fit here, considering this time period and whatnot. I mean, they're both from the northwest of the U.S., right? So it could be from any of them. But I guess the Sioux were more relevant during this time period. And by the way, I did mention during the episode that there don't really see much large scale conflict at this time period. We already went through this in the first episode. We can pretty much pinpoint this the time period of this to be basically at the turn of the 20th century, so like 1895, 96 to 1904 or 05, something around that time, right? And so there definitely weren't any large-scale conflicts between Native Americans and the U.S. government at that time. Not to say that it was completely eradicated, right? There were still some small skirmishes throughout, but I mean through most of it, like there weren't any large-scale campaigns being launched against the Native Americans at that time. I think the last real large-scale one was like in the 80s or something like that. So, again, I just want to clarify that, it's not like these kind of things didn't happen after then. It still happened, except it was a lot more rare, right? Particularly talking about the situation that happened to Hototo's family, right? So yeah, but like I said, I obviously don't really think that the producers are really going for historical accuracy here. I highly doubt they even make any distinction between the different tribes. So we'll leave it at that, right? And sure, I mean, a pretty straightforward character. His family was killed by gunmen, and probably like some sort of obviously they don't seem to be sanctioned by the government or whatnot. They seem to be more of a rogue organization, potentially going to be showing up in the upcoming episodes as well, probably as one of the antagonists and potentially even entering the race, right? Or perhaps Hoshito is going to encounter them whilst he is traveling alongside Appare and Kosame across the country. I think that is also a pretty reasonable guess here. So we'll see more about his character and his backstory later on. Initially, I felt kind of bad for Kosame because obviously he's being looked down upon right now, since he does have this sort of PTSD situation with PSTD situation with by not being able to actually enter a real battle right now. So I initially thought bad of him, right? Because obviously he's quite skilled and whatnot. But considering how he's treating Hoto and really treating him like a kid, even if it was with good intentions, I don't know, it just kind of gets on my nerves as well. So he can suffer for a little bit more, right? So we'll leave it at that. This other guy, El Leon, like I said, he is also a sort of interesting mishmash of characters as well. A surname Leon would certainly signify to me that he comes from France, most probably, or England, I guess. The fact that he is representing BMW, which, BMW, I assume, is a parody of BMW, just like the other two logos are probably a parody of Ford Motors and General Motors, Ford Motor Company. I think that's their full name, and General Motors, right? With that said, he would probably need to be German, right? However, his mannerisms and the way he dresses and whatnot, he actually reminds me more of the Dutch for some kind of reason. So I think that it's probably also a deliberate mishmash of characterizations as well here. So interesting dude, and he's got quite a nice personality as well, right? Even though eventually, he really, even though his we're trying to tell him, or the anime is trying to portray him as initially kind of rude and whatnot, and then a bit more forgiving. But come on, honestly, he's royalty. Well, sorry, he's not royalty. He's comes from an aristocratic family. He bought the warehouse through fair means and whatnot, and especially considering that Appare and Kosume were just there as free leeching in the first place, they really don't, he could have not held an audience with them at all. Being able to entertain them and do as such, I think he's already a pretty good guy, right? And he was still gracious in defeat and all that, so seems to be a pretty good character as of right now. And actually, I guess we also were introduced kinda to Dylan, right? Although not very much, but we can still see he's a cool dude. Probably also on the side of justice as well. So, hopefully we will see more of him in the future. So, the actual race, right? Now, obviously, we know that this series is going for more of the over-the-top kind of style. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Otherwise, there are, like, many problems with the race, right? Like, physically impossible. One thing that I thought they would try to show here was the fact that a steam engine would take time to build up pressure and take time to wind up and really start to get going, right? It's definitely not the same as our cars nowadays, where we can immediately push the car to a high speed. With steam engines, you need to build up the pressure gradually, and then once you have that accumulation of pressure, then you can go fast for extended periods of time, right? So the initial acceleration is going to take quite a while there, and I thought they were actually going to show that within the race. So like basically starting out very slow and being left behind in the dust, but then gradually gaining more and more power until at the end their top speed is actually matching that of the normal cars, right? But they didn't choose to do something like that, which is fine, I guess. Like I said, it's not going for accuracy at all or realism, but I thought that would have been a nice way to sort of touch on the pros and cons of using a steam engine, right? Now, obviously, what happened was a lot more entertaining, so I'm not gonna fault them for that, right? That was definitely a creative use of the steam pressure that they had, right? So I guess in the end you could say that they are sort of utilizing the special characteristics of steam engines, right? It's precisely because they are a steam engine that they are able to put out a lot of this steam and use it as acceleration, right? So I guess in the end they do touch on this part as well. So I retract my statement. I think they did a pretty good job here of trying to sort of touch on the advantages of using a steam engine. And so yeah, basically Appare has proven that he can build a car as good as any of them. He just needs to make it more long lasting. Now that he's got the spare parts from Leon's car, I'm sure that he's going to be able to create some pretty good stuff. Xiaolian is probably going to take inspiration to this and build her own car. And yeah, everything is just looking up, right? I do think that we might have one more episode to introduce us to some of the characters, and then perhaps by episode 5 we will start the race formally, right? With that being said, that is all so far away in the future, considering that the series is being delayed, and so we'll just have to wait patiently. In the meantime, I am going to be covering some other series as well. There are one or two series from this season that I'm going to try and take a quick look at, and of course, I'll also be doing my non-seasonal anime series. I just started Konosuba yesterday, and potentially I will have some other polls as well for another non-seasonal anime that I'm going to watch for this season. So stay tuned for that as well. And well, if you're only here for Appare-Ranman, well, hopefully we can meet each other in the not too distant future. Stay safe as well, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.